Hey, am I on? Hey. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Hi. Leslie Doolittle Pleasant here. Zazoo Plazz and friends for my weekly edition, July 16th, 2023, of the Zazoo Plazz report from the wilds of the suburban Connecticut wild wildlands. Look, I'll take you on a little tour. See, the pond's over there. I saw my friend the heron fly over, the blue heron, and there's some, nice little flowers. There's some really nice little orange flowers over there. I don't know if you're seeing them, but there's a path there that goes through the woods, and it's been raining so much lately. The little path I was going to take into the woods, it's all flooded. It's all flooded over. There's a little walking bridge. So it's about, I don't know what the heck time it is. It's about noon, a little after noon. I know it's an ungodly hour for me to be out here, but it was a little break in the clouds. Oh, here we go again. So I find myself, oh geez, I had to take this old umbrella because the guys took my other good one, my golf umbrella. I don't know what happens to umbrellas. What happens to them? They're like socks. No matter how, it's feast or famine, right? With umbrellas during rainy season, especially this year. We've had so many. So it's been raining every night, but I didn't come here to complain. No, I just want to offer my little 2 cents on umbrellas. It's like either you have so many dang umbrellas you don't know what the hell to do with them, or you don't have any. There's never any in between with umbrellas, So I managed to find this nice little one. It's an Eddie Bauer. Oh, it's an Eddie Bauer one I used to have in my car back when I was, back when I had a car that wasn't a minivan, that didn't have all kinds of crumbs and sticky stuff and people's bikes in the back that I can't get out, that are like crashing into me when I'm going to Savers to drop off my, my my crock pot that burnt out. All my glasses that I don't need now that I had LASIK surgery and my eyes are, like I got Wonder Woman eyes now. And so anyway, I never did start. I don't know. I didn't start, but somehow all of this is relevant. Stay with me, please. Don't skip ahead. This will be really worth your while, I promise. So anyway, yeah, umbrellas. That's it's not the theme of the week, but I gotta tell you, oh geez, my mother-in-law's with me. My mother-in-law, Irene, who passed away March 26th. The guys are at her house today because my husband's friend's wife is a realtor. So long story short, she just got her license, and she offered to help, stage the house and sell it. And she's somebody we trust, so my husband said, sure, but first all of the crap had to go. Oh, and his dad died in 2016. So, and then after that, his mom needed, just everyday help, and then she got sick, and you know how it goes. Any of you out there, Gen Xers probably, most dealing with this stuff, you got kids in college, and then you got, parents that you're looking after, or maybe your kids are in their 20s, and trying to, they're starting off, and you're in the middle. Oh, sorry. And that's what Zazoo Plazz is. These are my people. This is who I'm talking to. You most of all, because, I think a lot of us Gen Xers are in this situation right now. And I just want to say, some of the baby boomers will say, oh, well, we dealt with that first. We did this first. We did that first. Maybe you did. Nobody's saying you didn't. Are you still with me? Which is the usual response I get, you know. And I just want to say, nobody's taking away, stealing your thunder, you know? But by standing up for my own generation, I am honoring our unique perspective, the, you know, the fact that we have gone through things at a younger age, at an age when it seemed like we were born and thrust into, you know, adulthood immediately. And you know, online, shout out to Gen X Jono. I know he's touched on this, and I touched on it in my book, which, you know, I published in 2020, unbeknownst to most of the world, because we, you know, like a day after I published my book, we descended into the throes of COVID-19. So I'm making up for lost time here. But I've been doing videos for 3 years. And I'm getting a little bolder now to say some of the things that I wanted to say back then that I didn't get to say. Like, where the hell are all my umbrellas? But no, I mean, I think that a lot of us have just silently been plodding along, waiting for our time, waiting for our time. Is this our time? Is this our time? You know, for our reward, right? We've been getting it. We've been hearing. We've been going to, you know, whatever kind of spiritual path we've been on, right? We've been, you know, and I in particular, because I take little scraps of things and I blow them up and I make big mountains out of molehills. And, you know, I think this is kind of starting to be our time. I could be wrong, and it, you know, and then it turns out, okay, that's not, this is my time. Now is my time. And that other stuff, that was just rolling my sleeves up, getting ready. Now is my time. All right. Whew, get that out of my way. Okay, to get to the report. Anyway, so it should be very interesting. I was torn between doing this out in the rain and going to help all the guys. My husband's cousin, who lives up in near Northampton, Mass, Amherst area, he's a professor, I think, some kind of geology professor or science something. He and his girlfriend live up in Massachusetts. He came down for the day. He's, let's see, yeah, my husband's cousin, Gen Xer. He's a couple years younger than us, 2-3 years younger, maybe 4. So, you know, early 70s he was born. He volunteered to come down, and, you know, he's a good guy. He's going to help clean out Auntie Irene's house, Uncle Freddie's house, because he's on his dad's side. So his Uncle Freddie, my husband's, you know, my father-in-law. So he's coming, and, you know, my oldest son came home for the weekend, and he's over there, and then my youngest son rolled out of bed, had his breakfast, and, you know, took off at the end. But they're all going to help, because there's a whole bunch of stuff over there that my youngest son, he's going to possibly take some of her furniture to furnish his college house that he and his friends are renting up at UConn for the fall semester, and he's going into his junior year at UConn. So, you know, it's kind of like the perfect scenario. We're cleaning out, you know, the family home, and the stuff is going to go toward the next generation, right? So my observation on this is maybe it's always been us. We're like that bridge over there, right? The bridge that's flooded right now. It's flooded with emotions, with water, right? It's cancer, emotions, water, mother, nurture. It's overflowing, right? The rain is female, you know, emotions. Like, I want, you know, this makes me feel secure. I'm thinking about my childhood, you know, and and the music, and I want to be held, I want to be love, la 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 la. Anyway, so it all fits together, doesn't it? Yeah, so when that bridge is out, right, then people are going to complain, right? Yeah, it's just like me. I'm the one saving their butts, but then when I'm not around, people blame me for things that go wrong. Well, you know, Mom always does this. Mom, let's blame Mom. Or, whoever. It's the perfect scapegoat. And Jesus was the perfect scapegoat, wasn't he? I'm not comparing myself to Jesus here, but, I kind of know how he probably felt. And every now and then, it's like that old commercial, right, from the 70s or 80s. It's like, the mom looks after everyone and she's sick in bed. And it's like, who takes care of Mom when it's like for cough medicine or something? Who takes care of Mom? Who takes care of everybody? What happens when Mom gets sick? And then you see the husband, right? He's stepping up and she takes some cough medicine and she goes to bed. She's like, she's in bed. And the husband's trying to make the kids breakfast and he's burning everything, and then he's trying to iron his shirts and he's got a big burnt mark on the shirts. The kids and the dog is knocking stuff over. She's trying to rest, and then everybody comes up to see Mom. It's kind of like in the Family Guy. Remember Family Guy? And Lois, and then Stewie the baby comes up, Mom, Mama, Mom, Mama, Mom. And she's like, what? Anyway, that felt good. Now that everybody's awake. Okay, that felt good. So that's kind of, Jesus was kind of feeling like that, right? He's like, oh, Jesus goes out in the boat. He's like, I'm going to run away from these people are driving me crazy. They don't, I'm trying to help them, and they're, they don't appreciate me. So he gets in the boat. He goes out in the middle of the sea, and they follow him. It's pouring rain. He's out there trying to get a little peace and quiet. All these people are following him, asking, tell us a story, right? So he said, okay, I'll tell you a story. It's like your kids, right? When you're growing up and you're really exhausted and they're going to bed and they want a story. What the hell? So we'd make up stories. My husband used to, he was so much better at that than I was. Ironically, I'm the storyteller. He used to tell the boys this story about, he used to call it the most boring story ever. And it was guaranteed just that they would groan and complain because they knew that, it would be about this bear, and the bear would go over the mountain. And then once the bear, something about the bear going shopping at Bob's Discount Furniture or something to get a bed. So to get to Bob's Discount Furniture, he had to cross the mountain, he had to take a boat, and then he had to go the path, but something always happened to the bear on the way through the woods he'd get lost, or there would be a squirrel, or there'd be some other animal giving him a hard time, and the bear falls in a hole, and then, anyway. But so it was this roundabout, boring, and he would tell it in such a monotone that by the time he finished the damn story, the kids would be asleep. They wouldn't realize. He would tell it in such a magnetic, hypnotic way that the boys didn't even realize that he was putting them to sleep. So anyway, this is what I want to get at, right? It all ties together. So Jesus was out there talking to these people, telling them little stories. He was giving them pearls of wisdom, right? But if he went out there and he started, it's just like with your kids. If you start telling them, about existential truths and God and, archangels and the flames of light and dimensions and things like that, people are going to tune you out. These people weren't ready for that. These people weren't ready for, the big spiritual truths. They had to go little by little, right? So he's talking about the seed, the famous parable about the seed. And this is perfect because this week I refilled the bird feeder. And I had to finish the bag, right? And it didn't all fit. So some of the seed went in the feeder, which I put back up, and then a lot of it dropped down, you know, and it's on the ground. And then I had about this much left, so I put it in the planter that we used to put our parsley in, which, you know, I didn't plant anything this year. I said, screw it, I'm not planting the garden, and it came up anyway, because last year I planted so damn many cucumber seeds and tomato plants that little you know, things, I guess seeds were still in the ground, and the tomato, you know, clippings or whatever fell in, and we have more than enough tomatoes and cucumbers in our garden, right? And I think there's even a little basil, but I didn't plant it again. I just planted it once. So there's a moral to this, although it's not a moral, so don't call it that. But, so this is brilliant. So, okay, so I look out the window. This is a little detour. We'll come back around. I see that, because I've been getting up during the daytime, so I see a lot. There's a menagerie in my backyard. The little tiny birdies are all at the feeder. An occasional grackle comes in. Then the woodpecker's on the tree. The woodpecker sometimes comes down, eats a little bit, goes back pecking on the tree. We got the squirrel down in the ground, a couple of chipmunks that come out later in the day, who occasionally try to kamikaze, hurl themselves at the bird feeder, and they don't stick. And the squirrel, Sandy Cheeks, I sometimes find strategizing. You know, you see the squirrel, you can almost see it thinking. And it manages to get up there and drop from its hind legs down toward the sea, and then goes zing right off the squirrel baffle. It's endlessly entertaining. So anyway, we got that going on. And then, and I noticed that the blue jays, I noticed the birds weren't going over toward the parsley planter. So I took a few seeds and I put them along the deck, you know, as kind of bird seed leading into the thing. And all of a sudden, I see these blue jays. I see a blue jay sitting on the deck, looking at the seed, going this, and looking at me. Like, wait, is this a trick? If I go in there, what's going to happen to me? You know, because the blue jays are smart. He's giving me the attitude. He's giving me the look through the window, and I'm like, go ahead, it's okay. So he went in, you know, and before I know it, then he goes away. He comes back, there's like 2 other blue jays with him. Now they got, you know, this is their favorite hangout now. And this little tiny bird tries to get in, and they're like, get out of here. So the blue jays have claimed the parsley planter as their turf. It's very interesting. It's so interesting. Now, when I was in my cool 20s, if you ever told me that I was going to think sitting around or standing around watching, talking about bird psychology, you know, but hey, it's fun. And nobody else seems to see the same things I see. I'm like to my husband, hey, look at that squirrel. The bunnies are jumping over each other. He'll turn, he'll say, what bunnies? And they're gone. So this is a thing. I don't know, I'm pursuing it. Apparently I'm the only cuckoo one in the house who sees these things. Like freaking Mrs. Doolittle, Dr. Doolittle's wife or whatever. So anyway, yeah, so the whole thing is related. You know, the birds, okay, so the bird seed is like the good advice, the stories that Jesus was telling people, telling them how to live their lives, the kinds of things, you know, to let go and to let God. In other words, God's not going to let you starve. God, release this hold you have on this material plane. Enjoy yourself. Look around. Go out in a boat. You know, he was telling them to focus on the good, the positive, not just in a Pollyanna way, but to look at the magic that was all around them. But they were blind. They couldn't see past the bills they had to pay and the this and the that and, you know, Caesar and what's Caesar doing and the Romans and what are the Romans doing and then you on vacation and it's you know, my son went to see a, I don't know, concert, but he just went to, have a tailgate in the parking lot over at the theater. We have this open air theater in Hartford, and the guy who was giving the concert like walked out halfway through. He's some country guy. He's like, Mom, I don't really like that kind of music, but there was beer. And his stomach didn't really agree with him. But he went and he hung out with his friends, and that's what you do when you're 22. And it doesn't always turn out, but he got out. It was fun. And see, so what I'm saying is, you go outside, you meet with a bunch of people. You don't pin your whole life on what's going to happen if I do this and I do that, and you just try things, So that's the seed. That's what Jesus was talking about. Sometimes you throw the seed, you give people ask you for advice, right? You go and you tell them, from your experience, you might tell them a little story like Jesus, right? And he knew some of those people would be like, oh, Jesus is the best thing in the world. And then, the minute they get out to the parking lot, like the old Catholics, they're going to be like yelling at each other and gossiping and complaining, and it'll totally miss them, right? So some of the seed, the birds, the squirrels are going to eat. Some of it, the birds will actually eat. Some of it, the thorns are going to get it. So you're on social media, right? You put out some wisdom. I'm constantly posting things. Sometimes you get. You throw it on the rocks, right? The sun comes out and scorches it, and people just don't see it, right? Or it gets deleted, or it gets, somebody comes on and they totally miss the whole point, and they're like, oh yeah, so you post a beautiful picture of the snow, and they're like, yeah, but it's not enough snow. I wanted my service to come, and it's not enough snow. So, see, that's what I'm talking about. The people who are so, they can't see beyond their immediate house, their immediate little world, and they're very happy to regurgitate for you something they saw, some news thing, because they don't have anything to add to the conversation. So there are those people, and then some people who are, some people are just dense. They just won't understand it. Some people, they might understand it, but they got people around them bringing them down. They might really want in their heart to know, right? But they got people around them going, oh, you're going to believe that crap. What's that guy talking about? And then they give up because they don't have the strength to persevere when things get hard, right? And there are those people, and those are the ones that you try to help. The people who are kind of they just need a little push, just a little friendly encouragement, right? There might be something to this, And then you get the seed that falls, with the blue jays, and then it spreads, and more blue jays come, and more blue jays. Then they poop all over your deck, and then you got to clean it up. But speaking of poop and birds, flock of seagulls. So, the way I came upon this was one of the readings said the fields are garmented with flocks. So we're the Word of God. In other words, we're the hopeful. The real meat and guts of energy, of life in this world that that you can see if you just release your grasp on all that mundane and go within, right? You can really figure out what you're all about. And this is the path that I'm on. Other people have different paths. Their paths are to help other people, or everybody's got a different path, right? But on your particular path, once you know it, then you notice that, there's the fields are garmented with flocks, and it means sheep, as far as your eye can see. Kind of like me when I went to the, you're running in a race, like the Manchester Road Race. I used to see, I'd look behind me and I'd see like thousands of people, right? Thousands of people for running. And that's where I get the, I ran. I ran so far, I ran so far away, couldn't get away. You know that one, it's one of those earbugs songs. Number 9 in the U.S. March 1982 it came out. That's high school, man, high school. Yeah. So, I could talk forever about seagulls. Yeah. Mine. And Finding Nemo, where all the seagulls, they go through the sailboat, all their little beaks. So they're flocks, right? Like sheep. Seagulls they flock together. And woe be to you if you've got clam cakes on the beach in Rhode Island, right? I've had many times seagulls swoop in, grab my clam cake, and I have more seagull stories because my folks had a cottage down there in Rhode Island. I spent my whole high school and college, and after. They didn't sell the house till 2018 when my mom got sick, 2018-ish. But yeah, the flock of seagulls, they were it. 1982, they had a big moment there. They were on the road with Squeeze. Remember Squeeze? Something about black coffee in bed. Yeah, they had a sound. It was a sound. It was that new wave synth pop. Anyway, so the fact that he ran. These guys looked like they stepped off the spaceship. They had the hair, kind of, it was like, they looked like seagulls. They'd sit up, they'd have their videos, they'd be by the ocean. It was kind of nice. They did sound like seagulls, a lot of that. Good stuff. And I think did I have one of their tapes? I don't know. I may have had. I think I had 1 or 2 of their songs on a mixtape. But so the guy, he tries to run. He sees this girl, she's mesmerizing. He's like, like adolescent boys sometimes are. Try to run away, and then they see an aurora. They see like the northern lights, and then they both get abducted by aliens. It's kind of. But that was the spirit of the times. Everything was like aliens and space and, very Aquarian kind of which I love because I got Moon in Aquarius. Same as John Lennon, he had Moon in Aquarius. All that space stuff, and seagulls are scavengers. They go and they see something that's discarded, or not discarded. That's mine, that's mine, that's mine, right? So, yeah. So it's kind of like that, that sort of, the more you try to run from something, the more it persists, kind of concept. If you feel like, there's something that you have to do, something is calling to you, and you try to resist it. It's gonna get you eventually. So there's that to ponder. That thing, like when I used to go out and run, in my 20s, I would just want to get out of the house in my 20s. If I was at my parents' house, I couldn't run far enough. I used to get on my bike run, I'd bike for miles and miles and miles. And that's kind of was my attitude. I just have to get the hell out, And so that's been my consistent theme throughout my life. But as a mom and a wife, I've kind of let that side of me go. And then I realized she's still there. And so that's why I'm like I'm a wild rebel at heart. It's not always acceptable for women to be like that. But a lot of us Gen X women are. We're tough. And it's just realizing again that we are that way. We have to reclaim that. So yeah, seems to have stopped a little bit for now. So I'm gonna go and you know, run back home, and before they all get home, and enjoy the quiet of the house. Walk the dog. Until next week, stay dry and watch out for those seagulls. They'll get you. Till next week. Take care. Bye-bye.